everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Lens of Bias. My name is Kat Killian. I'm glad to be here with you today. And today I'm going to talk about doing your own research. So many of us today say, I'm going to do my own research on that, whatever kind of topic it is. And the question is do you really know how to do your own good research? Oftentimes, I'll start by saying this. In the promo for today's video, I took a picture from Thinking is Power. And it's a wonderful site, and I get many ideas from them, among others, to do this show. And so the truth is, what it is somebody sitting down at a desk. I'll describe the picture for you, saying, so it's in a speech bubble. I want the truth, so I'm going to do my own research. They're sitting in front of a computer and they're typing on the screen and saying what I already believe. And that to me was really clear. Whenever you're doing a search, okay, there are ways to search properly. And oftentimes, if we search, for example, vaccines are effective, vaccines are not effective. And then you put that search engine in, or that search question and query in, you're going to get results that confirm what you have already said in. What you've put into it. So you're starting off with a space where you already have your own bias and you're asking to confirm that bias. So we've talked a lot about confirmation bias in there. And in a sense, it's sort of a motivated reasoning. I'm going to find things that will support what it is that I believe. And the true way to do a proper search, if you're actually wanting to get sources of all kinds onto a thing, on a certain subject, is to say what is happening with vaccines, or what is happening. I'm trying to think of an example. Well, you're trying to get a neutral kind of question in there, and I'm at a loss right at this moment to think of an example. Sometimes I can't always think of an example. Sometimes I'll see an ad for something in particular, and so then I will go and put in the pro question and the con question to say, is a certain thing a scam? Is a certain thing legitimate? And then I will get a more balanced point of view on both sides if I'm looking to buy a specific product. Because oftentimes I am not an expert in that product. And that's kind of what is really important, is to understanding that you're not a limit. If we're talking about vaccines, I highly doubt that most people watching this show are experts in that field. And therefore, there is a certain trust that needs to be done, given to experts. There also has to be, like I said, that kind of, if you already have a bias about something, check your bias first of all. Enter your neutral search terms, or at least the opposite, to get a better weighted kind of search results, and then look at the results and how they're being framed. Is there evidence to support it? Especially when we're talking about scientific kinds of things. If you're talking about a product, what is the testimony? Was that person paid to give the product review? Sometimes, for example, with doing this show, I'm always looking to improve my kinds of equipment to make sure that things run more smoothly, that I can get a good audio, that I can get good video. Is my lighting proper? Things like that. And so I will look at people who are actually doing it. And so I might go on YouTube and listen to YouTube experts. So we're not talking necessarily about people who are industry experts on, the features of a particular camera. Let's use that as an example. I will actually go to experts who have used these cameras, who have tested them. Now, oftentimes they're given the cameras, and the honest ones will state this up front, say, I was given this in order to test it, but no, I was not asked to give a favorable review. I was asked to give an honest review. And so they'll go through and they will give an honest review. And I've been able to really rely on those because of these are people who are actually using the tools. They're not just industry experts who says, oh, this feature is good, that feature is good. They're people who are using it in the same way that I'm using it. And so therefore, they have more experience than I do. So I'm going to to trust that. Not one, but I will look at several different ones until I get a good idea of where I would want to go with my purchase. Um, and so, so looking at those things, I'm not just reading a review on Amazon or doing that. I'm actually really looking at what people are saying about it who are using it in the same way that I'm using it. So when we're talking about other things, though, like I said, scientific evidence, or political points of view, um, people are saying certain things, and most often saying this is what the other side believes. And so actually going back and listening to that and listening to the commentary on both sides, or looking at the scientific research. Oftentimes there's research and something seems to be positive. There's initial anecdotal evidence. We've done a study of 10 people, and of those 10 people, 6 have had results. That is not a big enough scientific study to come to any kind of conclusion. Is it a possibility that this is something that needs to be further explored? Absolutely. But if you understand how scientific research works, it's always an evolving kind of thing. Even if we come to a conclusion, research doesn't necessarily stop. They continue to gather data and they check their results as they're going on. So there are some things that may be said that, as of our knowledge right now, this is what we know. Is it a conclusion? Is it something that you should base your conclusion on? Possibly yes, possibly no, depending on the stakes. And that's where knowing your own limits comes into play, and trusting the experts. If there are 10 experts, or there are 10 experts and 9 of them say the opposite of what you've put in your bias search, but you find that one, the question is that one source trustworthy? It's certainly worth looking into what they're saying, why they're saying it. Sometimes the way scientific research begins is people think something seems too good to be true, and there's something there. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's bad science. That's why you need to look and you need to reevaluate these things. Um, the other thing I'd really like to comment on is the importance of um, using expert researchers. People say often, we don't need libraries anymore. We can just put it in Google. Again, the problem is the amount of information that is out there, and the amount of bad information that is out there is overwhelming. An expert can help you to narrow down your searches in order to make a good neutral search rather than a biased search. And that's where librarians are coming in. They are trained to do that. They are trained in areas of expertise. Sometimes they're generalists, just like your doctor might be a generalist. And sometimes there are librarians who are trained, who are educated in specific subject areas. So if you are doing the research on your own, now if you are an expert in that area, you might not have to rely on the librarian to help you do that research. You certainly can. But if you are not an expert, it often helps to go to an expert in the information areas regarding that particular subject matter. or even a generalist can certainly help somebody better than a layperson. For most of us, a generalist is sufficient. Just like we go to our practitioner for a doctor for most things, and they will refer us to a specialist once it's beyond their wheelhouse, their capability, what they see, not their capability, their knowledge base, their area of expertise is this kind of general medicine, the things that they see all the time. They're seeing something that kind of is like, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I think you need to see an expert, somebody who like I said, is specifically trained and educated in that area and deals with that area every day. I wouldn't want a general practitioner doing my rotator cuff surgery. Um, I'm just saying. So so that is really the key, is looking at how you do that and looking to where you do that. So there's a big shout out to the librarians, because we know what we're doing. As a retired librarian, I know what I'm doing and how to do these searches and when to pass it on to someone that I don't know. So I'm sharing this with you today in hopes that when you sit down at that computer and say, I want to know the truth, so I'm going to do my own research, you don't type in what you already believe. That you take a step back and say, how can I frame this belief in a neutral way in order to get a balance of sources or more unbiased sources in order to come up with a true uh, representation of the facts surrounding a particular uh, opinion or point of view or set of circumstances or product or scientific research, anything like that. So today's a brief show, but packed full of a lot of things to think about. And I just want to thank you for tuning in, or watching on replay. And I hope to see you again here on Breaking the Lens of Bias. I do want to say one last thing. As always, if you have anything specific that you'd like to talk about, if you see a bias in certain reporting, bias reviews, biased media, political campaigns are starting to uh, come to fruition again. This is our yearly cycle, depending on where you're at. Being in Chicago, a lot of ads are going on, political ads for the mayor's race in particular, because it's a heated race. If you're seeing those biases in there, or any other topic that you want where we're looking at things through biased lenses, feel free to post something to the page and say, "Hey, Kat, is this something that you could address and talk about and look at?" And I can look at those specific things, and hopefully we can unpack those biases that are found in the political ads or in any other places that you may find, or generalized topics. I'm glad to work with you and see if we can break all those lenses of biases that we all have. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in. My name's Kat Killian. I will see you next week. Bye.